Let me tell you about a woman who gardened for over 40 years. Like me, she had a huge garden, half an acre of vegetables, a whole bunch of flowers everywhere that people would actually slow down to take a good look at. But then one spring it happened. Her knees had started to hurt really bad, and she walked into her garden, like me, and said, "How am I going to do this anymore?" Her friends suggested containers. She wasn't thrilled with the idea. To her, that felt like giving up, like it's what you did when you don't actually garden anymore. By August, she had the best tomato harvest she had in years. 2 pots on her south-facing deck. She took 15 minutes a day to take care of them and didn't have to bend over even once. She says she wished she'd done it 10 years earlier. That's what this video is about. Not quitting gardening, but gardening differently. And for some people, gardening better. Hi, I'm Carol from Almost 2 Acres. Continuing my Gardening for Senior series, this is video 6 about container gardening. Let's go. Let's talk about the 2 things that make container gardening harder than it needs to be. Mistake 1, containers that are too low. Most standard pots sit on the ground, which means you're still bending to the ground. The same problem as in-ground beds, just in a smaller footprint. The fix is elevation. A plant stand, a potting bench, a deck railing planter, a table height raised container bed, anything that gets the soil surface up to a comfortable working height. For most adults, that's between 24 and 36 inches from the ground. If you already have pots that you love that sit low, look at plant caddies with wheels. They put a few inches of height under the pot and also solve the moving problem, which brings me to the second mistake. Mistake 2, containers that are too heavy to move. This one catches people because a container looks manageable empty and becomes a real problem when full of wet soil. A 15-inch pot filled with moist potting mix can weigh 40 to 60 pounds. That's not movable for most older gardeners without real strain, and moving it onto a deck or off the ground becomes a 2-person job or a back injury. There are 2 solutions. Use lightweight potting mix, not topsoil, not bagged garden soil, actual lightweight container mix. And go with smaller containers and more of them rather than fewer larger ones. Add a plant caddy with wheels under anything that needs to move. Put them under the pot before you fill it. And if you're using a very large container, fill the bottom third with filler materials such as foam peanuts, plastic milk jugs, or overturned nursery pots. The top third should be a good quality potting mix. Not every container is a good container for Zone 4, and a few things matter here that don't really matter in milder climates. Fabric pots. These are great for Zone 4 vegetable growing. They air prune roots, which means the plant doesn't get root bound. They drain perfectly, and they fold flat for storage in winter, which is a real convenience. Their downside: they dry out faster than hard-sided containers, so you're watering more frequently unless you have a self-watering system in place. More on that in a minute. Plastic and resin. Light, affordable, they hold moisture well, and they don't crack in Zone 4 winters if you bring them into a garage or shed. They're my practical recommendation for most people. They're not glamorous, but they do work reliably. Terracotta. It's beautiful. It's also heavy. And in Zone 4, if they're left outside through winter with soil in them, they'll often crack. If terracotta is what you love, use it for annuals and bring it in before that first hard frost. Self-watering containers. I'm treating these as their own category because they change the maintenance equation enough to be worth it. I'll cover them in their own section. Wood planters. Cedar is durable and Zone 4 appropriate. It looks great on a deck. Just make sure the bottom has real drainage, not small weep holes, but actual open slats or a drainage layer. Without good drainage, wood planters rot fast and plant roots suffer. Let's talk about what actually grows well in containers in our climate, because not everything does, and choosing the right crops is the difference between a container garden that produces all summer and one that limps along. Tomatoes. Yes, absolutely, but variety selection matters a lot. Determinate varieties, ones that grow to a fixed size and ripen their fruit all at once, are your best friends in containers. Look for words like compact, bush, or patio on the tag. Bush Early Girl, Tumbling Tom, Patio Princess. These are bred for exactly this. Avoid indeterminate heirlooms in containers unless you have a very large pot and a serious support structure. Herbs. Containers were almost invented for herbs. Basil, parsley, chives, cilantro, thyme, oregano, all of them thrive in containers. Even in a container in Zone 4, mint is a perennial that will try to take over a container just like it takes over a garden bed. Give mint its own pot. Don't share a container with anything you want to actually keep. Lettuce and salad greens. They are perfect for containers because they're shallow rooted, they don't need deep soil, and they actually prefer the cooler temperatures of our Zone 4 spring and fall. A wide, shallow container of mixed lettuce on your deck is actually one of the easiest things you can grow. Peppers. They love heat, love containers, and love the warmth reflecting off a south-facing deck. They're slower to produce in Zone 4, but very manageable in a container system. Green onions and chives. They're easy, productive, and you can harvest from the same pot all season. These are great container crops that get overlooked. Strawberries are surprisingly good in containers. Ever-bearing varieties give you fruit all summer without the sprawling runners of in-ground strawberry beds. Sometimes they don't make it through a harsh winter in Zone 4, but they're still worth considering. Here's what to consider skipping in containers. Large vining crops like winter squash and full-size cucumbers. They're not impossible, but they need large pots, a lot of water, and a real support structure. For a container setup focused on easier gardening, they add more work than they're worth. The biggest challenge with container gardening is, of course, watering. Containers dry out faster than in-ground beds because there's limited soil volume to hold moisture, and because pots, especially dark ones in full sun, heat up and lose moisture quickly. In Zone 4 at midsummer, a regular container might need watering every single day. For senior gardeners, daily watering of multiple containers is a lot. It adds up fast. Self-watering containers really help solve the majority of this problem. The design is simple. There's a reservoir at the bottom of the container that holds water. The plant draws water up from the reservoir through the soil as it needs it. This is called bottom watering or wicking, and it's actually much better for plant roots than top watering every day. In a good self-watering container, you might fill the reservoir twice a week instead of watering daily. That's the difference between container gardening being a daily chore and being a twice weekly 5-minute task. I'll have self-watering planter options linked in the description, both standalone planters and reservoir inserts that you can add to containers you already own. If you're only going to make one upgrade to your container setup, this is the one I'd make. The difference in how much time you spend watering is significant, and your plants will actually do better because they're drinking on their own schedule rather than yours. Potting mix. This is a brief but important section. Don't use garden soil in containers. I know I've said this before in this series, but it's worth repeating because it's the most common container gardening mistake. Garden soil compacts in the confined space of a pot. It becomes dense, it drains poorly, and it can introduce weed seeds and disease. Your plants will struggle. Use a quality bagged potting mix made for containers. Look for one that contains perlite or vermiculite for drainage and a wetting agent to help it take up water evenly. Lighter mixes are better, both for the plant's roots and for the weight of the pot. For containers you're filling each year, top dress with a few inches of compost in spring rather than replacing the whole mix. Add a slow-release granular fertilizer at planting time. Container plants need more regular feeding than in-ground plants because nutrients wash out with every watering. Here's a practical note that I have to deal with myself. Unless you have younger, muscled people to help, have your potting mix delivered or buy it in smaller bags. 40-pound bags of potting mix are awkward and heavy to get into your vehicle. 2 20-pound bags are easier to manage. Or buy in bulk and have it dumped near your containers so you're scooping, not hauling. Here's the one thing that changes everything. Heavy plant caddies, pot dollies, rolling plant stands, whatever you want to call them. These are the platforms with wheels that go under heavy containers
so you can roll them instead of lifting them. Get them underneath before you fill the pots. That's the advice. It's very hard to put a caddy under a container that's already full of soil and plant it up. For anything over 20 pounds, which is most containers once they're full, a rolling caddy lets one person move it safely instead of two people lifting it dangerously. For us older gardeners, that matters especially at the end of the season when we're moving everything in before frost after we've already been working so hard harvesting. Plant caddies are inexpensive, widely available, and they're one of those things that seems minor until the first time you actually need one. The woman I told you about at the beginning of this video, she's still container gardening. 3 years later, she added a second deck setup last summer, more pots, a small potting bench, a soaker hose on a timer. She doesn't miss the big garden the way she thought she would because she's still growing things. She's just doing it in a way that doesn't cost her a week of recovery.
That's the whole point of this series. I have links in the description for the things I've talked about. The self-watering planters, the Amarlia kneeler seat for when you actually do still have to get down on the ground, and the Garden Guru hand trowel. The next video in my series is about one of my favorite things, garden hacks. Clever ideas that don't cost a lot of money, but save you a ton of time and save your back in the process. I'll see you there.